Hello, what's going on, good people? It is Todd Shannon, data scientist, social commentator, getter of buckets, and right now I feel like I'm in the twilight zone. The reason why I feel like I'm in the twilight zone is because we have unfolding right before our very eyes a bunch of evidence that all but proves January 6th is a complete scam and a hoax. We have on camera the recorded testimony, not sworn testimony, obviously. He's not been sworn in. But we have credible information from the police chief of the Capitol. And I'm trying to understand why nobody wants to investigate or amplify what he's saying, because he's basically giving away the game right now. Now, I want you to think about this. Anytime there's any sort of like national crime that reaches it's not necessarily a national crime, but some crime that reaches national prominence, right? Where people have an interest in what's going on, right? Anything from a so-called unarmed black man being shot to this latest young lady who faked her kidnapping or what have you. The first thing we hear is a statement from the police chief, right? And then we end up hearing, well, not only what happened, but what they plan to do about it and what the status of the investigation is. The police chief is always front and center, almost immediately. As soon as they have any information, he's the first one on the scene. Does anybody else besides me find it weird that no one talked to the police chief at the Capitol in the wake of January 6th? Supposedly the worst day in the history of America. If you didn't see my video yesterday, I talked about how it was the worst in the history of America. That was a little tongue-in-cheek, a little comical, but this right here is different because now I'm pretty fired up. We're going to get right into this latest information because everyone needs to see this. Like facts, like everyone needs to see what's happening, and everyone needs to be outraged that there's not more of an outcry for justice over this situation. So we're going to listen to some testimony from the Capitol Police Chief and his interview with Tucker Carlson, and it's the mind boggles. All right, let's just
what's really behind all this, because it wasn't right the way the intelligence was handled and the way we're set up on the Hill.
Big picture, just to restate, you've seen many things like this, and as you just said, this was very different. This was handled very differently. By whom?
By the intelligence. I'd say one, by the intelligence agency, two, by the military. So the reason why I say the military, think of this. By federal law, Congress passed a law that requires me to go to the Sergeant Arms Capitol Police Board in advance of an event and to request federal resources such as the National Guard. So Congress passed a law. It's 2 U.S. Code 1970. Look it up. Just make sure you look it up before December 22 when they changed it. So what was in effect on the 6th, that requires me to go and get approval for bringing in National Guard or federal assistance in advance.
Now, I just want to just underscore something here really quick. How is it they changed the law? Let me just bring you in close here. They changed the law to require him to have to request additional resources. So they changed the whole process before January 6th. You telling me that's not suspicious? Let's continue.
I have to go to the Capitol Police Board and get approval from congressional leadership in advance, like I did on January 3rd. I'm denied twice because of optics and because the intelligence didn't support it. So think about that.
So he says he was denied twice because of optics. Okay.
Let me ask you the question, who made that decision? Who denied you?
I was denied by Paul Irving, House Sergeant Arms, and also Mike Stenger, Senate Sergeant Arms.
And who do they work for?
It would have been working for Pelosi on the House side. That Pelosi was number one boss, and then McConnell on the Senate side.
Ah. So effectively, Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi shut down your request.
My request was shut down, one, because of optics, which is interesting. You're going to hear that term come up a couple more times. Optics, or the look of the National Guard on the Hill. But yeah.
Does anybody find it odd that they thought it was weird that the optics of having a National Guard on the grounds at January 6th, when during the President Biden's Joe Biden's inauguration, they had like fences up and like it looked like freaking Kuwait out there. Like now they were about optics right here, but they weren't worried about optics when President Biden was inaugurated. Very strange.
And the Capitol Police Board, I mean, it's unbelievable that I'm the only chief of police in the United States that has a law preventing me, not just regulations, rules that say I got to go and get approval to bring in the National Guard, a law. So that's crazy that Congress is going to pass a law that controls
that's not suspicious at all.
what I can do to protect the Capitol, and even in emergency. So think of this. Even while we're under attack, I have to go to those same two people to request the National Guard to be brought in. I have 340 National Guard that have been activated. At least 150 to 180 of those are in the city, many of them within eyesight of the Capitol, okay? We get to come under attack at 12:53. 12:55, I called the Washington, D.C. Police Department. I talked to their Assistant Chief, Jeff Carroll. Thank God I had talked to him at 10:59 in the morning and asked him if he could possibly put some additional resources on Constitution Avenue. And he had some CDU platoons up there. Called him, said, hey, please send those in right away, because we knew as soon as they came to their west front, they started attacking, it was going to be bad. 12:58, I make my first call to the Sergeant Arms, asking, saying, hey, it's bad, we need assistance, I need a declaration of emergency, I need to bring in the military immediately and federal resources.
12:58. Mark that timestamp.
I'm told by Paul Irving, quote, I'm going to run it up the chain, I'll get back to you.
The chain is Pelosi.
The chain his chain would be up to Nancy Pelosi. He didn't have to do that, but he wouldn't give me authorization. The law says in emergency he can grant me authorization, but he didn't. He said he'd run up the chain.
The law that they changed on December 22nd. So just a couple weeks prior to the event. Okay.
And my next call was over to Mike Stinger. He's now the chairman of the Capitol Police Board. Told him the same thing. We're getting our asses handed to us on the west front. I need federal resources. He said, what did Paul tell you? I said, he's run up the chain. He goes, let's wait to hear what we hear from Paul. Sorry.
Unbelievable.
So for the next 71 minutes, I make 32 calls. I'm in the command center. I'm calling my partner agencies. And by law, one of the first people to offer assistance was the United States Secret Service. And by law, I shouldn't have requested their assistance. I shouldn't be until I had approval. But I'm looking at my men and women having their asses handed to them. And my first thought was, it, I will take whatever discipline there is. Send me whatever you got. No, that's the one text Secret Service turned over. You know how they lost all their texts?
Yes.
It's the text between their Chief Sullivan and myself. Thank God for him.
All right. So I just want to pause here for a second. Now, there's a lot more to this conversation, but I want to just emphasize here. He says, 12:58, he requests for services. They will later reveal that basically he didn't get any help for 71 minutes. And he also reveals in this conversation, I highly encourage you to watch the whole thing, that the person who he was asking for authorization from could look and see what was actually happening. It was happening like outside of his office. He was like, let's see, let's run it up the flagpole. Now I want to juxtapose that with something that happened with Donald J. Trump and part of their supposedly obvious case against him for his inciting the insurrection and actually trying to overthrow the government. Because what they are saying is that Donald J. Trump, that he didn't act fast enough. That's one of their key arguments, right? It's just like he waited so long to do something. Let's listen to this report. This came out last year, I believe in July of 2022 here. This is an article in Yahoo News. It says, the security detail thought this was about to get very ugly, the official said. It was just chaos. Kinzinger said, there was a, quote, desperate scramble for everyone to get President Trump to do anything. All this occurred and the president still did not act, he added. Keith Kellogg, who served as a national security advisor to Pence, told the committee that Ivanka Trump discussed doing something to discourage the rioters with her father twice. Effectively, he makes the case that, all right, Donald Trump, you didn't get on it quick enough. This was urgent. This is, the Capitol's under attack. You didn't do anything. You didn't move quick enough. Yet here we have the chief of police for the Capitol building saying they made him wait over an hour after he begged. And actually, it got so bad that he went to ask the Secret Service for help when he technically didn't have authorization to ask them, but he was just like, screw it. I'll deal with the consequences later. I need help right now. And the person who could have gave him that help sat on their hands. Now, you sit there and tell me that that's not fishy. You're out of your mind. Okay? You're out of your mind.
But I don't. You make this call immediately to the House Sergeant at Arms who reports Mr. Irving, who reports to Nancy Pelosi. He says, "I'll call Pelosi."
He says, "I'm running up the chain."
Running up the chain, but that is the chain.
I hear you. I got you. Yeah. I want to tell you exactly what he said to me.
What happens then? Does he get back to you?
So for the next 71 minutes, I make the 32 calls to a number of agencies. 11 of those calls are follow-up calls. And look in the Senate combined report from 2001. They have a great infographic of the call after call after call after call. 11 times I call in the next 71 minutes going, where are we on the approval? Where are we on the approval? Just any minute now. Any minute. I'm going to get any minute. Finally at 2:09, 71 minutes later, 2:09, I'm finally given approval. Think about that. 71 minutes later, I immediately call Mike Stinger, say we've got approval. I was so pissed off, I made sure that the watch commander, I'm in the command center, I yelled to John Wisham, the lieutenant, that's my watch commander. I said, John, mark the time as 2:10. I finally got approval for the National Guard. I was that mad.
So what is I just want to pause on this for a minute. That's it's almost unbelievable. So this is an event that Pelosi herself has likened to Pearl Harbor and 9/11, the worst thing that's ever happened on American soil. And she's in charge of allowing the National Guard to come in and respond, but she doesn't for 71 minutes. What is that?
I can't fathom why. I mean, they had to have known what was going on. I was telling them how bad it was.
Well, it was on TV.
It was on TV. It was right outside of Mike Stinger's office. And they had a meeting in his office saying, hey, where's the National Guard? And they're like, oh, we're trying to make... The fighting's going on right outside his office. And I'm still getting delayed.
This is an unbelievable story.
Oh, it is.
Can you believe that? We could go on and watch this forever, right? This is almost an hour-long interview. I can't go over all the details. But here's the thing that I want to underscore. It should be noted that Nancy Pelosi requested this man to resign the day after January 6th. I wonder why that is. Unbelievable. And by the way, during this whole January 6th hearing or whatever, they didn't want this guy to testify, which he also said during this interview. Here's the thing, friends. We can sit here, man, and we can pretend like this stuff is not important all we want. And I particularly am concerned about people in the church, and the black church in particular, because there is no stronger contingent of Democrat Party supporters than black people in church. It is, in my opinion, the most bizarre and completely inexplicable relationship that I can think of. It's the most obviously contradictory relationship that I can think of. Here you got people who believe in the Bible, people who believe in traditional morality, all of the morals, all of the principles, everything we believe is antithetical to the Democrat Party platform if you're a member of the Church of Jesus Christ. And I do not understand, even if we took the Bible stuff out of this, how do you keep supporting people who have proven over and over and over and over again that they're dishonest? So I'm just curious what your thoughts are. January 6th, I'm telling you, this stuff's not going away. We're going to be talking about January 6th, and we're going to be talking about 2020 all the way until the next president is inaugurated or elected. And so it's not going away. So my question to you is, do you think this is an important issue? Does what the former Capitol Police Chief, does what he have to say, do you find it compelling? Right? Do you take this as pretty clear evidence that something funky is going on and that it needs to be gotten to the bottom of? Let me know in the comments, friends. I'd like to hear from you. If you like this content, please like, share, and subscribe. Till next time, my friends, God bless you.